part of our community. We're not just a business, we're here to help people. We're mobile, we're fun, and we're stocked with the most delicious flavors you've ever tasted.
Most commercials tell you the same thing. They're always blabbing about buy this, go here, eat that, or some experts on there trying to convince you of the next big thing. Although that's great and all, this isn't one of those commercials. Here in Shelby County, we let it speak for itself. Discover Shelby. Find your trail.
Full Moon Barbecue is proud to be a corporate sponsor of Thompson High School. Since 2006, Full Moon Barbecue's Alabaster location has been a proud supporter of the athletics, academics, and the entire community. From church to schools to special events, they do it all. You can always trust Full Moon Barbecue to give you the best quality food and service. Come in or call Full Moon Barbecue today for the best barbecue in town.
It's time for the Warrior Nation Network halftime show. Here's Tim Melton.
And welcome back into Warrior Stadium. We want to thank everyone who's watching currently on Facebook Live as well that's maybe stepped away from that ESPN broadcast to join us here in the booth. I am Tim Melton, joined by John Lunsford, our color analyst for the entire season. We're going to be going down to the field and listening to those sounds of the marching Southern Sounds for our halftime show and then come back with first half analysis here on the Warrior Nation Network.
Whataburger's new Bacon Steakhouse Double. Do you need it or do you want it? Do you need creamy steak sauce, crispy fried onions, aged cheddar, and crunchy bacon? Or do you want creamy steak sauce, crispy fried onions, aged cheddar, and crunchy bacon? And what even is a want if we want the want so badly that the want becomes a need? How should I know? I just push the card. Enjoy your burger.
Creamy, crispy, crunchy.
Whataburger's new Bacon Steakhouse Double.
Just like you want it and need it.
Tim Melton back here in the booth with you for the Warrior Nation Network halftime show. And we appreciate those marching Southern sounds. Absolutely love what they're doing this year with their set here at halftime. Looking forward to that all year long. Joining me here in the booth, as always, the voice of reason, Mr. John Lunsford. John, what were your first half takeaways? Because, I'm going to be honest, it felt like the Thompson Warriors should have had a couple of takeaways there, with the ball bouncing a few different ways through the air and on the ground, where some turnovers could have been the difference in the first half of play tonight.
Yeah, fortunately the interceptions that weren't and fumble recoveries that weren't didn't necessarily result in touchdowns, except that very, very first one that, you know, it looked like the running back may have been down. It was on that 4th and 1. After Jared Smith gets a big stop, they decide to go for it really quickly, and after about a 10-yard burst, it looks like it may have been ripped out. They say that he was down, but there was confusion. Only one referee signaled he was down. It forced Thompson to take a timeout where they didn't have enough timeouts to do something at the end of the half. So it all kind of ended up stacking up against Thompson. But after that first drive, you know, pretty good job overall at keeping this offense at bay. I mean, a couple of big plays, but no points on the board. Just now the Thompson offense needs to get going. They've had some success. They've moved into Grayson territory multiple times. Just haven't been able to quite get past around the 35-yard line. And that's where you need to get, because then you're not only potentially putting yourself in touchdown range, you're also putting yourself at least in field goal range to get some points on the board.
Grayson leading this game 7-0. Let's take a look at the road to the Super 7 presented by Dunn's. Let's take a look at how the Warriors got here, where they're going. The road to the Super 7 certainly runs through Warrior Stadium. Dunn's HVAC, plumbing, and electrical is a proud supporter of Thompson Athletics. Dunn's encourages preventative maintenance on all of your home systems. Now is the time to service your HVAC. Call them today and schedule a preventative service. As we look at this schedule, John, we've seen a half of play here from Grayson. We're going to wait to see how this one plays itself out. But as we look down the road, a very interesting trip 1 week from today.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, you'll remember Thompson started the season off in Georgia against Buford. Really good team from Georgia, also Korean goal there. And the very next week came home, took on Lipscomb Academy, a game that Thompson was just a yard away from winning for a fumble, turned into a 100-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown for Lipscomb. Also, the last year, Trent Dilfer was there. He is now, of course, with the UAB Blazers. So this is a return trip up to Nashville to take on Lipscomb. And not quite the same team last year that they had the years before with Coach Dilfer, but I know a team that's hungry to get a win over a big team from out of state. But then you start region play, and a couple of good non-region games, as we saw 2 years ago, a loss to Buford, a loss to Lipscomb, then turned into what ended up being a state championship caliber season. So, you know, you want to learn a lot from these first two games as long as you don't go to a tiebreaker. They don't count against you in region standings. And so then you start off with County, you start off with Oak Mountain, and then you really hit kind of the meat of your schedule of Vestavia, Clay, Hewitt-Trussville, 3 really tough games there. And then Hillcrest is a team I keep telling people, don't just assume it's going to be Thompson, Hewitt-Trussville, and Vestavia, and then maybe Hoover because Spain Park dropped out and went to 6A. No, Hillcrest is a legitimate team that could potentially work their way into playoff standing, and that game is going to be in Tuscaloosa. 2 games in Tuscaloosa on the road to the Super 7 for Thompson, and then, of course, Hoover and another new region foe in Prattville.
That's the Dunn's road to the Super 7. Routine maintenance helps save time and money in the long run. Call Dunn's HVAC, plumbing, and electrical today at 205-583-6605 for dependable service done right. We are thrilled to welcome in Athletics Director Vincent Pitts to the broadcast here on the Warrior Nation Network. Thank you so much for having us back for yet another season covering this team. It is exciting to have football back here at Warrior Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me tonight. I appreciate what y'all do, and we're excited to be back for another year.
Let's talk about the offseason. What was the messaging like? What was the attitude like because it is sort of unfamiliar territory to be coming off of a championship loss instead of a win. What's been the mentality of this Thompson Warriors football program?
Well, look, there's nobody that's more hungry to get back on the field and get back in the win column than the Thompson Warriors, whether that be the coaching staff or the players. I know they're excited. They've put in as much or more work than you could possibly put in the weight room and on the field. And I know they're excited to finally get here and play the game. And, it's another opportunity to kind of get that bitter taste out of your mouth.
We heard from Coach Freeman talking about how this team has been so emotionally mature to coach to this point, even going into this very first game. How important is it to have a locker room that's so unified going into a season where each and every week you're going to get the best from your opponent because everybody wants to take down the top dog?
Well, it's incredibly important because you get to coach the game of football. You don't have to worry about, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to do in the classroom? Are you where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there? Are you, make sure you're here. Make sure you're not tardy. Make sure you're doing, when you don't have to worry about those things, you can focus on football. And when you can focus on football, you have the ability and the propensity to be able to learn better. And when you can learn better, you can be more confident in what you're doing. And when you're confident, you play fast.
I'm going to be a little bit selfish here with this last question for you, and it's talking about our team, the Warrior Nation Network. We suffered a tremendous loss in Jerry Young, passing away unexpectedly there in the month of January of this year. If you can, talk a little bit about Jerry's impact on this broadcast and Matthew Moyer, who has been brought in as the new voice of the Thompson Warriors.
Well, first of all, first I'll say is how much we appreciate what Jerry did for us. The time that he gave, the enthusiasm that he gave it with, that's irreplaceable. All right, and we did not have any desire to replace Jerry. That wasn't our goal because Jerry's irreplaceable in many of our minds. So the goal wasn't to replace Jerry because I felt like that was impossible. But we had to find somebody to do the job, and I think we found the very best person that we could find. And I'm excited that Matthew's part of our team. I'm excited that so many of the parts of our team stayed together. We've got Christina this year as well. We brought that piece in house. She's on our staff. She teaches for us, so that's exciting to add Christina. But the goal was to find the very best person we could find. I think we did that. Matthew's incredibly professional. I'm excited about this season with him. Of course, I'm excited about having you and John back with us. And so the best thing that we can do is hopefully put a puzzle together that fits.
Very, very well said. Thank you so much for your time here in the booth with us at halftime. Athletics Director Vincent Pitts here with us on the Warrior Nation Network. We appreciate everybody who's joined us on Facebook Live. Make sure you rejoin us for the post-game show, new and improved for this season, and you won't want to miss it right here on the Warrior Nation Network and there on Facebook Live. When we return, we will hand things back off to Matthew for second half action here, live from Warrior Stadium, as Grayson and Thompson square off in the second half of action right here on this Thursday.